there were two greengrocers. One was Carlisle and the other was Conybeare. And the oranges used to come in boxes. So they used to chuck these, you know, once they got the fruit on display, they used to chuck these out into the backyard. And you know, there's a back lane going down at the back there. And we used to go in and we used to say, any orange boxes, mister? Can we have 2 or 3 orange boxes? Aye, all right then. Go round the back and I'll open the door. But only take the broken ones. Don't take anything, see. So we would take as much as we could home that was, you know, as together as possible. And then we'd go down to the tip and we'd pick up 4 pram wheels, you know, the best we could pick out, of course. And we'd bring those home, and of course the axle was there and the holes were in the, you know, in the axle. We would then hammer nails in, turn the whole thing upside down, hammer the nails in so that about 1/3 of the length of this went into the bottom of the cart, and we used to put as many nails as we could in, and of course we'd hammer the other nail at the other end so that it was fastened over and there was no movement there, you see. And so we would get a piece of this cord and we would tie it on to the axle, just on the inside where the wheel was. Make it good and tight, you know, we'd be pulling on it to make sure that the nut was well and truly tight. So the driver was holding on to this, he also had his feet, and this is how he steered, you know. You pull the cord or you kept the feet there to keep it, you know, to give it firm, make sure the wheels were going round properly. And that was it, you were in business. My brother had a friend, and he wanted to know if he could come along and, you know, have a go with my brother driving. And of course, Muggins here was chasing after them. And this fella said to Paul, well, this is all very well, but why don't we go to the top of Richmond Hill? So, of course, my brother was a bit more of a daredevil than what I was. And of course, he said, oh, that's a good idea, says Paul, you see. So, of course, I was outnumbered. And we took turns of sitting on the trolley and steering while the other two pushed, you see. And then you got off and give somebody else a good turn. And of course, you know, we didn't even have to think about stopping because there was no traffic. We were swinging right out and we were trying to get past one another and, you know, down the thing and down the other side, up again. I mean, you were right down to the quarter bridge. I mean, you were slowing up, but, you know, you could almost reach the quarter bridge. Simple, you know, I mean, we didn't have any money, but it was just the simple things in life. I mean, we were just so contented, you know, doing things. Marvellous, really. I feel sorry for the children today.
Well, I think I was very lucky because for most of my childhood we lived very near Memorial Park in Ramsey. So that was my garden. We lived in a flat, we didn't have a garden, so that was it. Mum would open the door and off we'd go. And I think the park, as I remember it anyway, was a lot more overgrown, a lot more shrubbery than there was now. So we used to spend a lot of time keeping out of the gardener's way and hiding in the big bushes. And we made that our den. We used to just go and bury in the middle of these bushes and climb up inside it and then sort of hide from the gardeners. I don't know that they knew we were hiding from them, but that's what we were busy doing. And then at the back of the park where the brews are, we used to go climbing up there for conkers and then sliding down the brews and then climbing back up again, really. If you go near the swing bridge, and it's still there, but the north side of Ramsey, underneath the stinky sand, so you'd jump off initially the sort of the first step and then the second step, and then you used to get really clever and off the top of the concrete plinth and down into the sinky sand, and then go and climb underneath the swing bridge onto the sort of little island bit of the middle. Yeah, and then sometimes, and I'm not sure how I got there because I don't think I had a bike when I was that age, but we'd go all the way along under the North Pier, you know, under where the Iron Pier is, and then climb up into Broad Glen and spend a lot of time there just ripping branches off trees and standing in the river, throwing stones. Yeah, nothing very organised, and yeah, lots of making dens really. They were a lot more relaxed then about, you didn't, you know, no child to adult ratios, you know, perfectly fine for a 7-year-old to be looking after a 6-year-old. That seemed quite reasonable. I don't think my parents ever knew where I was, you know. Mum used to sometimes stand top of Windsor Mount and sort of yell into the park and hope that we would come back and eat. But you know, she only had a vague idea we're in the park. We could have been on the beach, we could have been down the swing bridge, we could have been somewhere else. Don't think many of our friends had phones even, so it's not as if you sort of just got on your mobile and ring round, oh, was she at your house, was she out with your kids? They generally didn't have an idea where you were. I think I certainly knew a lot more people around the area where I grew up, and knew a lot more of my neighbours. And I certainly seemed to have a good sense of fear that I would be told on. That someone would ring my mum and tell them if I'd been doing something out of order. There was definitely a sense of that, but whether that was sort of imaginary in my own head, that, you know, that lady on the corner would go around and tell my mum she'd seen us climbing a tree or swinging or whatever we'd been doing. Yeah, I think that's different. There was this bit of glass in my knee that was a bit tricky. I've got a nice bit of scarring from that. But no, I don't remember any serious accidents. And it's quite funny, this summer, the new zip wire in Oncombe Park, I know 3 people with children with broken arms. It was a really busy road, Ballinard Road. So Philip, I'm starting to play the line out a little bit. He's allowed over there.
How old is Philip?
He's just 9. He's just 9. But I think I mentioned this before, that this summer we went across with a group of mates and they were playing on the jumps, and they were Philip got into a bit of bother with another group of kids, and he wanted to stay and play in this area, and they'd obviously decided they were older, bigger, stronger, there was more of them, they lived there, and that, you know, he wasn't welcome, and he didn't handle it very well. He sort of tried to hold his ground, ended up getting a bit, not a kicking, but he got pushed around a bit and got pushed in the tummy, and came back in floods of tears. And it really made me think, because I thought, I haven't given my child the tools to deal with that, because they're not in my possession to give him. He can only learn how to deal with bigger, stronger, rough boys by coming into contact with them, learning when to fight, learning when to negotiate, and learning when to run. I could sit and explain those things, but that's not really going to equip him with those tools. It's only the fact that he went over there, he ran into this situation, came out of it fairly badly, but I think learned a lot. You know, and I'd probably think, well, really, I should send him over there more often, not to get, you know, not like sending my kid across the road to get a kicking, but he needs to learn those things for himself. And obviously he isn't picking them up in the playground. Maybe it's too managed and too organised, and that, you know, there are important lessons in life that he needs to take on board that I can't teach him. He's got to explore and learn for himself.